Welcome to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. I'm your host, Dylan, along with my cousin and co host.
Gab.
And today we are talking about what many would consider a classic, but Gab has never seen 1993's Jurassic Park. Gab, how have you avoided these movies for 33 years of life?
Well, here's the thing, right? This movie came out in 1993. We were born in 1992. So, for the time that this movie was hailed as one of the best things to ever happen, I was a little girl and not really all that interested in dinosaurs. And then I became a teenager who was really not all that interested in dinosaurs. So, really, as an adult, I would say over the age of 18, I just didn't watch it. And I've got a lot to say about that as we get into this, but for now I'll say um I've now seen it.
They're also, by this point, they're on like Jurassic Park 7. And say what you want. After one, you I'm gonna just make a blanket statement. You don't need to see any of these, Gab. I'm so glad I got you to watch Jurassic Park. You don't need to watch The Lost World, Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and Jurassic World Dominion, or Jurassic World Rebirth. It's a whole lot of there's dinosaurs. Yeah.
But my question is, so listener, this came up recently because Dylan and I were at a family gathering and it just so happened to come up that I hadn't seen Jurassic Park. But in that conversation, you mentioned that you recently watched all of them, no?
Yes, over the summer I rewatched all of them.
And so were you unhappy during this time? Like, what was the deal?
You know, they're all like a baseline quality of enjoyable and fun, except for I would say Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and Jurassic World Dominion to me are the two worst of them, which are the middle two of the last four that have come out.
Hmm.
I don't know, man. Like The Lost World is still a Steven Spielberg movie, so there's plenty good there. Jurassic Park 3 brings back Dr. Grant, so there's plenty good there. There's good stuff here, but we're not here to talk about that. We'll dive into that more in our opinions, maybe. Gab, for now, let me just ask you a question. 1993's Jurassic Park. What's it about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
Explain! As you would a child.
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
Dylan, 1993's Jurassic Park, which is how we're going to refer to it from now on, is about an eccentric billionaire who decides to buy an island off the coast of Costa Rica. Is that correct?
Correct.
And make an interactive, if you will, theme park of real live dinosaurs from the DNA of an amberized mosquito that has the blood of a dinosaur in it. Modified with frog DNA to make real life dinosaurs. I'm just trying to show you that I watched it. To make real life dinosaurs and give people a thrill. And it don't go well.
I just want to say the moment I said 1993's Jurassic Park, I realized nobody refers to it that way, but god damn it, she's not going to let that go, is she? So
No.
I'm glad that's hitherto henceforth how we shall refer to it.
Thank you.
Would you like to hear what IMDb says?
Yeah, but it's probably not going to be as good as what I said.
No, but it's a bit more succinct. An
Okay.
industrialist invites some experts to visit his theme park of cloned dinosaurs. After a power failure, the creatures run loose, putting everyone's lives, including his grandchildren's, in danger.
Yeah, that about explains it.
Now, Gab, I have got many taglines for you. I feel like for the past few episodes, we've had very few taglines, and we've been saving them up for this one.
Yeah. Quick question. I don't know if you know this, but are taglines the responsibility of the writer, or is it more of the studio comes up with the taglines?
That is 100% not the screenwriter doing that. That is a mixture of, I think, like poster artists and executives, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Which some of these, and I'll skip these, are ones that are like the 3D IMAX re-release. So I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
not going to redo
yeah.
that one that clearly was not actually just to initially advertise the movie. So first, life finds a way.
Okay.
Welcome to ... which I think makes sense with the title being Jurassic Park, which is the theme park.
Yeah.
Unleash the beast.
No.
No. Caution, alive inside.
No.
The park is open.
Okay.
The most phenomenal discovery of our time becomes the greatest adventure of all time.
I don't know that I'd call it an adventure.
Yeah, that makes it sound more like a fun romp when it's like, no, there's some horrificness to this. A little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
And last one, I think the most famous one, An adventure 65 million years in the making.
The word adventure is still a little not quite the direction that I would go, but I don't hate the 65 million years in the making.
The rest of it works well enough that I think that's a great one. That and Life Finds a Way to me work the best. Or like
Yeah.
Welcome to is fine for me.
Yeah.
As far as taglines go, pretty good job when we normally hate a lot of them.
Yeah, not terrible.
Yeah. So as far as expanding on this a little bit more, obviously full spoilers ahead, but I'll be shocked if somebody listening to this hasn't seen it. But I was shocked that you hadn't seen it. So
Well, now that I've seen it, everyone on Earth apparently has seen it.
you were
so
the last one. Yeah, we did.
yeah.
At one point, I think this was the highest grossing movie ever made. So
Really?
maybe you were the last person to see it.
Wow.
But billionaire Richard Hammond is opening Jurassic Park. Lawyer Donald Gennaro, I think is his name, wants to get insurance approved for the investors who he represents. So they have to invite these experts who are going to approve the park and make both the insurance company, the investors, and Richard Hammond all comfortable. So they invite Ian Malcolm, who is a chaos theorist or chaos mathematician, something like that, who is played by Jeff Goldblum. Dr. Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, and Dr. Ellie Sattler, played by Laura Dern, who are all going to come together and collectively approve or not approve the theme park. And along that, you have other characters who, will obviously play an important part. Muldoon, Nedry. I love Muldoon. I love the way that guy talks. One of my favorite moments of the whole movie is just hearing him go, shoot, shoot, which he's really not trying that hard to hold on to that guy in the beginning of this movie, but that's for another time. Yeah, obviously the park is really set asunder when Nedry, who is driven by his own greed, sort of shuts down some of the systems while a storm is coming, which will end up knocking everything out. Dinosaurs get free. Dinosaurs chase man. Man runs a lot. Some men die. Chaos ensues.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's enough story. Should we get to opinions?
I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
In this critic's opinion,
that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
Let me hear what you got. I'm excited for you. What did you think?
Yeah. So, what really struck me, and maybe this will seem obvious to you, but I'm interested to kind of dive into it a little bit, is that I had never seen this movie. I knew roughly what it was about. I think sometimes when we throw around these movie titles like that we've just been hearing essentially our whole lives, right? Jurassic Park, it didn't really occur to me that it was about a theme park like Jurassic Park. I feel like it almost feels like Jurassic Park trademark. You know what I mean? Like you hear Band-Aid and you never think like, oh, because it's like first aid. You just hear Band-Aid. That's the best example I can come up with. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, where Kleenex doesn't represent a company to you anymore. You're just like, that's a tissue. A tissue is a Kleenex.
Right. And so to me, Jurassic Park was just the name of this movie. It never occurred to me like that it was suggesting that it was a park that was prehistoric,
That's crazy to me to hear, because I just imagine you had to have like very purposefully ignored so many. Like Jurassic World is all about, we're trying to do another park, you know what I mean? So I'm like, that came out 2010 or maybe a little later, and I'm just imagining then that you must have been bombarded by trailers at some point.
I mean, here's the thing. Again,
what were you doing? Like living a life, doing things?
No. I think you're misunderstanding. What I'm saying is, the title of the movie clearly indicates that it is a park, like a theme park, like a place you can go to. And I've only ever thought of Jurassic Park as the dinosaur movie. Like it could have been called Jurassic Table, and I would have been like, oh yeah, it's a dinosaur movie. Like it didn't occur to me that it was describing. Anyway, that's not even the point I'm trying to make.
We gotta get off this table, guy.
Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is that I watched this movie from top to bottom and thought to myself, I probably could have done this podcast without actually watching it, because it is so embedded in the cultural zeitgeist
Absolutely.
that I knew without so much as understanding really what the title even meant, what this movie was about, what happened, how it happened, and what the result was.
I feel like that's part of what I wanted to ask about, and I feel it kind of sucks because I imagine that's going to take away from the movie a lot for you because there's also not only have you heard so much through pop culture, I'm sure you heard somebody say shoot her or life finds a way or that
Hold
is
on to your butts.
hold on to your butts, that is one big pile of shit. You know what I mean? There's a lot of very quotable lines in this movie. And I also just imagine there's so many iconic scenes that have been very much replicated by other movies since then. Like I made a joke to you when we were at our family gathering about the scene in the kitchen with the kids that every other Jurassic Park movie has tried to redo that scene. But not only that, every other movie that has had any kind of creature chasing people has sort of replicated that when they're trying to hide at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is tough to watch that movie and you're not getting it fresh the same way I did if I saw it when I was like 5, 6, 7, or however old I was.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's very obvious that a lot of movies since then have taken so much from it. I mean, even just the concept, right? Like, oh God, we're stranded and there's these creatures that, we are inherently afraid of that are more powerful than us that maybe we have some knowledge of. I mean, just off the top of my head, um, all of those sort of like poltergeisty movies where it's like we study the ghosts and now all of a sudden we're they're here kind of thing.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of other instances where it's people who have studied the creatures and are now face to face with them.
Encountering it, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I do think
But
is such a good concept that you really can't do any way other than something supernatural. Like this is the only scientific, I put in air quotes, way to do that.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's a brilliant idea, right? And what's really funny is I said to Corey as we were watching it, like, if I didn't know any better, and quite frankly, I don't know any better, I would think this makes complete sense. This is absolutely how you would bring dinosaurs back. And it's crazy that they haven't done it yet. And obviously, this is not my area of expertise, but it does feel like, yeah, the blood inside the mosquito has been say, like fossilized, and they could just take it out, and amphibians are close enough to dinosaurs, so there we go. Easy.
That's what's perfect about it is that it works enough theoretically that you can suspend your disbelief and go. So they found a way to scientifically do it, even though
Yeah.
obviously it doesn't really work this way scientifically, but it works well enough.
Yeah.
I don't know why I feel like I have to mention, Cap, I know you've watched a good amount of Simpsons. Do you remember that Principal Skinner, which I feel like I'm picturing you do the same thing at some point, decides to write a book at one point when he gets fired from being the principal, and he comes up with an idea where a little boy goes to a theme park where they're cloning dinosaurs, and he goes, "We'll call it Billy and the Clonosaurus," and it's in front of a who just rips into shreds, and he goes, "Oh my god, it was one of the most popular movies. What were you thinking? What were you thinking?"
That's hilarious. That's amazing. Yeah, it just felt a lot like I had never watched this movie, and yet somehow I knew exactly what was going to happen. And not because it was a predictable movie or, it just, I think it's predictable because so much has come since then that has taken from it, but also that it's just so popularized in our culture that even it has permeated my consciousness without me even realizing it.
I definitely imagine that somewhat damaged like the first viewing for you.
But that's not to say that it wasn't enjoyable. I mean, I want to talk a little bit about the dinosaurs because at our family gathering, you were talking a little bit about like the CGI, but also like the practicality. Like, talk to me a little bit there.
The only times that they really use CGI is anytime you're seeing very much full body shots. And even then, some of the time they don't do that. Like there are times in the kitchen scene with the Velociraptors where it is a guy in a suit, like when they're first entering. But once it jumps up on a countertop, they use CGI for those moments. But it's just such a good job of integrating the two together. Like that T-Rex, I'll talk more about it. They built a giant ass T-Rex, Stan Winston Studios, which was the best of the best. Working with ILM, which is also the best of the best for CG. And I think rewatching it this time, I can tell when it is CG. Like when you first see I think it's a Brontosaurus, Brachiosaurus reaching up into the tree. And I can tell it's CGI, but I still think for a movie that was 1993, and there are so many movies that come after this, Gab, that you're like, this looks like dog shit.
What's the one with The Rock as the Scorpion King?
The Mummy 2, which I
Yeah.
think is like 2001 or 2000. And obviously that's a very different thing. You're not creating something that's an animal, you're creating like a weird hybrid scorpion, the Rock creature.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's such a good example of they, I'm sure, had all the resources that this movie had, and it looks terrible. But
Yeah.
meanwhile, in this, they just do such a good job of marrying the two that, like, you hear so much about the CGI, but some of the most memorable things with dinosaurs, like Grant on the stomach of the Triceratops as he's going up and down, that's just, they built that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they do a perfect job of, you can hear the actors talking about, we had a dinosaur right in front of us. That makes it a lot easier. And then, like I said, not to make this whole podcast a comparison, Jurassic World, I think they had like one real dinosaur, and they like mentioned we did one scene with a prosthetic, you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
you can, it's not that you can tell that the CGI is bad, but you can feel it in the way that people act and react with a real thing versus a fake thing.
Yeah, the scene that comes to mind for me is when they are first getting to the park and they see the T-Rex for the first time. And they get out of the car and they're shocked, right? It's the guy and his girlfriend wife.
Grant and Sattler.
Thank you. And they're looking up at this T-Rex and you
Also,
can
not the
kind of
T-Rex. Are you talking about the very first dinosaur they see, the Brontosaurus, when it's reaching up into the tree?
Yeah, because they're not afraid. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's the Brontosaurus. And they're kind of looking at it off into the distance. They cannot believe their eyes. They're seeing a dinosaur. They're shocked, but they're almost like not quite looking where they should be looking. You know, like you can see that like what we see and what they are looking at is just like almost not quite right. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I get what you're saying. I do think they do a great job of it, though, because I heard them talk about it. It's a little difficult because what they're looking at, I think, is some guy on like a huge fucking ladder holding up a thing with a big magic marker X on it for like, this is where the dinosaur's head is going to be. And then they had some
Yeah.
guy go all the way down further away to show like, and this is the end of the dinosaur.
Yeah.
But I think they do a good job. And this is obviously Steven Spielberg is one of, if not the best director ever, of showing awe. And that's what Steven Spielberg is so good at, moments of awe. And you really get, I think it's such a great moment. And one of the most iconic things of Grant is standing up and he's already seen it. And Dr. Sattler is still talking about, she's a paleobotanist. So she's talking about the leaf that was extinct that they brought back, the plant life.
Yep.
And he literally puts his hand on her head and turns her head and she stops talking and just like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah.
And I think they do a great job with that. But I get what you're saying, that I'm sure if you really study it, that they're like, the two of them probably aren't looking at the exact same point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And listen, that's, people are going to tear me apart in the comments. That's not to say that in a real life situation, one of them wouldn't be looking at the head and the other one wouldn't be looking at the tail. And just like they caught a moment of maybe she's admiring how big it is and he's looking at its face, whatever. I just think that, whenever you watch a movie that is inherently older and uses CGI, I think you're kind of always looking at like, how good is this, right? Like, and it's the uncanny valley because you can watch Avatar and be like, this is not real,
Yeah, I think it happens with newer movies too, though. Like a movie I just watched, which is a terrible movie. It's Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
Uh-huh.
Don't even ask me why I watched this fucking movie, but it doesn't matter.
I know why you watched it, but that's okay.
At the end, though, there's this carnival scene, and these ghost creatures are like attacking, but you can tell, and it's one of those things that because of the prevalence of CGI, that I imagine that they just knew we're going to have monsters attacking. We're not sure exactly what they're going to be doing, but I just need a couple of extras who are going to be freaking out. But because you haven't plotted it down exactly what's going to be happening, if I look in the background at some extras in the corner, they're not reacting to this guy who's being fucking killed because, and that goes back on the director, really. It wasn't planned out exactly. And that's the problem with some of these superhero movies, that they're spending more money than they ever have. But it's like, because we just say, we're going to figure it out in post, but we need you to say this right now. How do I know exactly how I should say this when I don't know exactly what I'm looking at, what is happening exactly in this moment?
Yeah. I think people take for granted that actors really require like the full context to do their job.
Absolutely.
So it can look like bad acting, but if you're just like, I guess there's a dinosaur here, like I'm going to react to it, then you're never going to give a realistic response, no matter how good the CGI is. It's still going to feel forced or fake. So everything really does need to come together, and obviously Spielberg does that really well. But one of the things that I really admired about this was that toward the beginning of the movie, as we are so we understand there are dinosaurs on the island, right? But prior to that, the very opening scene, we experience a dinosaur without seeing a dinosaur, right? The dinosaur kills a guy.
I think all you see is its eye. You see
Yeah.
it looking Muldoon in the eye like, you're next. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which I
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
love that the Velociraptors are the only ones that really are characterized, that
Yeah.
are given like emotion behind themselves, that they're not just animals eating, that like, no, the big one, she's hunting you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they're going on the tour, for the beginning, they don't see any dinosaurs. And I think we've already seen the Brontosaurus, so we know that they're there, right? Like it's not like an if, it's a when. But it builds such suspense that by the time they actually encounter a dinosaur, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Whereas I think if there was too much showing of the dinosaurs, it would be like, okay, like we've seen this now. But at the same time, if they're not showing us that they're there, you start to think like, what is he, like faking it? You know what I mean? It was just the
Yes.
perfect amount.
And I think it's such an important line because, even with the more recent Jurassic Worlds, they'll show you dinosaurs constantly. And it's like, I want to have moments between to build up to the wow of the dinosaur. Same thing for them. I don't want it to be normal for the actors. I want for them to be like, wow, a dinosaur, which somewhat was not the point once you get to like Jurassic World, but that doesn't matter.
Sure.
But they do such a good job of, you're right, a really good chunk from first 10 minutes, Velociraptor has murdered a guy, to, okay, let's meet our characters. Okay, they're going to go on a tour. Okay, the guy's grandkids are here. He's got to be confident that this stuff is safe. And then seeing that Nedry is going to go ahead with this plan that he's doing, that by the time you get to the midpoint, which is that T-Rex scene, and it suspensefully starts to build up with the shake of the rearview mirror and the water vibrating in the glass, that you're like, oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
And it does not disappoint you when it gets there at all.
You know what I was really thinking a lot during my viewing? I don't really recall going to Universal Studios as a kid. We went once, like in addition to a Disney trip, and I remember being really scared of like a lot of those rides. So, as a little girl, my parents were like, "Ah, fuck it, we'll just go back to Disney." But did you ever get to go on the Jurassic Park ride, or was there one? Am I imagining that?
I believe there was. I don't think I ever went on it. I know I went the King Kong ride. I was so scared that I was, I'm like, I got to be 9, 10 years old. I'm crying and didn't want to go on.
Yeah.
And they made me go on. And thank God I had like a great time, that I was like, we got to do this again. This was incredible. That and like the Jaws ride too, which sadly has been retired since, but were two of the most, Jaws particularly, where you're actually out on a boat and they have a prosthetic shark that is coming at you.
That scared the shit out of me.
Your tour guide is shooting at this fucking thing. Like, pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah. Do you remember, just as a side tangent, there was a Twister experience, and that was the last straw for me. They had to take me out. I was fucking losing it. There was a fire, and I was just like, it was not good.
Too real, man. Too real.
Yeah. Yeah. But as I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking to myself, obviously this is a movie about a theme park, right? So like it makes sense that I'm thinking like, oh my God, this would be an amazing ride. But like to go on a Jurassic Park ride at Universal, I think would be fucking amazing. And I'm sure I'm over here acting like, what would be crazy if we had like underwear for babies that you could throw away. Like I understand that this exists, but I can see it feels like one of those things where they're in the boardroom and they're like, and it doesn't stop at movies either, guys. Like this is gonna be huge.
I do love that scene with Gennaro the lawyer going, $2,000, $10,000. We can charge anything we want for this. We can charge anything, which I do love. That is exactly what any real person who could be behind this would be thinking. Like people would pay anything to do this, anything.
Well, it's like the fucking guys that are like, yeah, we're just gonna start taking people to space.
Yeah, that's exactly. And you know what? There are people who've been going to space who have been paying money. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll have a coupon day for the poolers.
That made me laugh. I want to talk about Jeff Goldblum's character because, like I said to you before we started recording, I'm not like super confident in like everybody's role. Obviously, I know the paleontologist, the botanist, the guy who owns the park, the grandkids, the lawyer, but like Jeff Goldblum is just like another guy, like another mathematician who's there. But God damn it. I felt like I know so many people who are just as fucking smug and annoying as Jeff Goldblum in this movie. And I felt like I could finally put like a name on that type of personality because God, don't you just encounter those people all the time?
Yes, but I love him in this movie.
Oh,
Like he
he's
is
great.
clearly such a douchebag that we would all in real life interacting with him be, Sam Neill's character, Dr. Grant, who is like, is this guy for real? Like, I can't remember what he says. He's like, Ellie, is she taken? Is she spoken for?
Is
What
she
I mean?
available? That's
Yes,
what he
that's what it
says.
is. And he's just doing this thing where he's just talking like this, and he's constantly just literally chewing the scenery. Like he's on the helicopter going,
Yes.
and it's just like, it almost shouldn't work because it's over the top. And even some of his heroic moments are stupid. Like the thing with the flare
Yeah.
is him being a jackass. Like Grant had solved it, but he's thinking to himself, like, he needs help and I've got to also save these kids. He's
I
trying
could
to
be
be
the
a good
hero.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, oh no, you schmuck. Like, you didn't have to do this.
Oh my God. It I really enjoyed it. I don't know that I'm super familiar with Jeff Goldblum's work. So
You,
like
Jeff
other than
Goldblum,
the what is it, homes.com commercials?
Jeff Goldblum is so funny because he's not, and I feel like I'm going to catch, the people are going to come after me for saying this.
It's about time.
He usually was not considered leading man good looking, but he was Hollywood's, if we need a really hot nerd, that's the guy. Like
Is
that's what
he
Jeff Goldblum I
hot?
feel like kind of was. I don't think he's sex symbol or anything like that, but he's a good looking enough guy that like he's better looking than you would expect chaos mathematician guy to be. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And you look at a movie like this or The Fly or Independence Day, where he's always playing this guy who is like nebbishy nerdy dude who also has to be, for some reason, should be attractive to people. And I'm like, why is that we get a scene of him being injured, but he is laying seductively with his shirt open on the
Yes.
table? And I'm like, Jeff Goldblum, it's just what we did.
Shirt open, leg injury, but shirt off. Yeah.
Well, I think at some point he has like a slight stomach injury. The funny thing is his injuries are so nebulous as just like we see him thrown over and stuff lands on him, and it's like, oh, thank goodness he did a tourniquet. We don't. There's something specifically wrong, but he's taking care of it. Great job.
Yeah. He did a tourniquet, so he's gonna be fine. We don't have to worry about him anymore.
Yes, he's fine enough that he can quip while he's in the back of the car. You know what I mean?
So, something that came up that was briefly confusing to me was Newman, whose name in this is
Dennis Nedry.
Dennis Nedry. Dennis, at one point, quips to the owner of the park something like, I can do it, Dad. And I thought to myself, oh, that's his son?
No, he's joking at his expense.
Okay.
But yeah, which I do love that he's constantly complaining about his pay. And at the same time, Hammond is constantly talking about, I spared no expense. Now, that would contradict itself, except for one line where Nedry specifically says about how much he put in as his bid. So he said, I will do the job if you pay me this much. Like, that's how it works when you're a contractor and you're putting in a bid. And then he's like, but you're not paying me enough. And it's like, motherfucker, this is what you said you needed to be paid.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It just feels like at the end of the day, he spared no expense on some things, but I'm not wasting all my money. Like, I imagine it's not intentional. I'm sure it's not intentional, but I want to imagine it kind of is, because there's a famous, I guess I'll call it a little bit of a goof, when he is taking the embryos and stealing them in his little shaving can.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those dinosaurs, I think it's like Tyrannosaurus and Stegosaurus, have typos on them. And I imagine that that's just, they were throwing this shit together and it's an accident and whatever. But I also like to think it's a theme park. They're just trying to get things online and get things ready. They didn't care about the fact that Tyrannosaurus might be missing an end or something like that it should have. So it's these small things that gradually become big things, which I love. It goes back to the line that Ian Malcolm has about, well, if the Pirates of the Caribbean break down, the pirates don't eat the tourists, you know?
Yeah. That really made us laugh. I told you about our Pirates of the Caribbean experience, right?
I don't know if you did.
So I have been to Disney World a number of times, but Corey had never been to any Disney park. So when we were in California last year, we spent a day in Disney. And so I was all excited to like show him, like, I can't believe you've never been on a Small World or like Pirates of the Caribbean. So we go on Pirates of the Caribbean. And the thing about Disneyland in California is that it's like 10 or 20 years older than Disney World. And if you've only ever been to Disney World, when you go to Disneyland, you kind of feel that it's older because Disney World is old enough. Disneyland is like, oh, this they hadn't quite perfected it when they put this shit
yeah,
together.
I've definitely heard that it's the lesser of the two parks.
Yeah. So we're on Pirates of the Caribbean, and I've been on this ride I probably realistically probably like 6 or 7 times in my life. And so we're on the ride, and halfway through, Corey leans over to me and he goes, "What is this about?" And I went, "Pirates." Like, and then I started thinking, like, it's kind of not really about anything. It's kind of just like, look, there's some pirates. Like,
it just reminds me of, there's some, well, I'm sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, finish.
There's some clip of Kathleen Kennedy talking about one of the latest Star Wars movies where I think it's either her or Carrie Fisher, but one of them just goes, "It's about family." You know what I mean? It's just like, you're just saying the thing. Like,
yeah,
it's about something. It's about pirates. It's about family. Sure.
Yeah. It just made me laugh so hard. And then I started thinking, like, what's this about? Like, what's this theme park about? Like, it's about dinosaurs. But yeah, I did really appreciate that. I also, Samuel L. Jackson was not expecting that.
And it's a very small part. Which would have been a bigger part. I don't know if I have this in the facts, so I'll just mention it now. He's supposed to have like a full-on death scene where he's running around and chased and killed, but they ended up not being able to film it because when they were supposed to, they actually were dealing with a hurricane where they were filming in Hawaii.
Oh, shit.
So they just didn't film it, and they're like, well, we didn't get it. We're throwing his limbs at Laura Dern.
Yeah.
Which apparently there's also an outtake, and the footage is somewhere of Laura Dern. She has that whole time where she's got her headset on and she's running away from the Velociraptor, and she runs all the way to that gate and she sits down and she has her moment of crying, and then she gets up and she keeps running. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
There was a take where she did all of that and she was like really in the moment and acting her heart out, and everyone's laughing and she couldn't understand why. Well, apparently a bunch of these fake limbs, because there was more than one, were dragging along with her headset. So she's just dragging pieces of Samuel L. Jackson with her.
Oh my God. I don't think I realized when I was watching it that limb belonged to Samuel L. Jackson. I think in my mind it was the guy who, the only other black guy in the movie who died in the first scene.
You thought that they just stored the arm there for some reason?
I thought it was like callback. Yeah, like they were saving it for a snack.
She very quickly says his name. She's like, "Mr. Arnold, I think we're in business," or something like that. And then it falls on her. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I do love the character that goes with her, the character of Muldoon, who is really just there to tell you how much of a threat Velociraptors are. And other than that, he, as a character, he doesn't do much. He's just, I'm going to go help the kids, or I'm going to help Laura Dern. Like, I'm just here to be kind of a good guy. And he saves her by telling her to just run, and he's going to deal with the problem. And then he's just like, finally, I can hunt the Velociraptor.
Yeah. He's supposed to be a dinosaur expert.
No, he's an expert big game hunter. And that's mentioned very quickly at the beginning when Hammond is introducing him or something like that. And he talks about, I've hunted all kinds of things, nothing as smart as these Velociraptors. You know what I mean? That's why he's the one emphasizing, like, tell me the gates are still on in the Velociraptor pen.
Right.
And I'm sure you didn't notice, I love that his death scene is almost 100% described by Sam Neill in the beginning, when he is talking to this little kid and he's going, and you're watching the Velociraptor in front of you, but that's not the one you got to watch. You got to watch the ones to the side that are coming around you, and they're the ones that are going to kill you. And when they first cut you, you're still alive. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Also, I'm sure a line you heard a million times, but I do love his clever girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the end of Muldoon, but it's a great way to go out that the Velociraptor's like, I'm going to let you have a beat. Clever girl. And now you die. Like,
Yeah. It almost felt like he was like appreciative of their efforts before they killed him.
He respected it. He was like, you got me.
Yes, exactly. Oh gosh, what was the other thing I wanted to say to you about this movie? So let's talk about the kitchen scene. Obviously, you mentioned before I watched it that like, oh, the kitchen scene, that you've seen it a million times, whatever. What struck me about the kitchen scene was obviously the need for silence because they don't want to alert the velociraptors to where they are. B was there's really nowhere to hide because they're gonna get, they're gonna find you or the door won't close or whatever. And then the misdirection with I'm gonna make noise over here so that you can hide and whatever. And so my question for you is when you said you've seen the scene a million times. Were you suggesting that the other Jurassic Parks do it again and again and again? Or were you suggesting that you've just seen this type of scene a million times? And were you suggesting that Jurassic Park did it first? Because what it really reminded me of was Alien.
I wouldn't say that it did it first. Certainly not. It's just such a famous and iconic example of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think every Jurassic Park has done it, but I immediately think of the most recent one, Jurassic World Rebirth, has a scene where like 2 or 3 of our characters are trapped in they're on like a shutdown island. There's a gas station on the island, and they're literally in the aisles of the gas station being chased by essentially velociraptors. And I'm just like, it's the same thing. This is the same exact thing. You know what I mean? And you're never going to be able to do this better than you did it already, is kind of my feeling.
Yeah.
But it's a scene that you'll see not just in Alien, but almost any horror movie. Like this is the same as Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween trying to avoid Michael Myers. It's the same as Nancy running away in the boiler room from Freddy Krueger, because it is just suspense and build up, but done in such a well executed way. Like I remember the first time I saw it, I was terrified when she's trying to Lex is sitting in the like dumbwaiter or cabinet or whatever it is, trying to pull down the thing, and she can't. And the Velociraptor is just going 100% at her, and then you realize it's gone directly into the reflection.
Yeah,
and
love
you, like,
that.
Have a second of relief, and it just does such a good job of in that scene, moments of relief and building right back up to tension. Tim runs away. He runs into the freezer. He slips, but so does the Velociraptor. Moment of relief that he can get away again. Which I do love. The expression on Lex's face is she is full on sprinting to help him shut that freezer door, just arms fully extended, going directly at it. And it just moves from that point too, that you don't even realize like how far it's going. That now they're back in the control room with Grant and Sattler, and then they're in the roof, and then they're like, you're not. It moves so quickly that you're not even thinking about things that don't kind of make sense. And it does such a good job of that. And I don't want to point out a lot of these because I don't want to influence you in a negative way, but a couple of the most famous ones are the T-Rex attacks them. It breaks through its fence to get to them. It then pushes the car over the fence. But when it pushes the car over the fence, there's all of a sudden a huge cliff. There shouldn't be a cliff there. That's where the T-Rex sort of just was.
Yeah.
You don't care because it has done enough in the scene that you are not at all going to think about that, and you are not going to drive against it. Another great example. Grant and Sattler are trying to hold this door shut while Tim and Lex are on the computer, and they're like, can you reach for the gun? I can't get it. Tim is just standing there.
He's just
watching Lex. Tim could really pass the gun to somebody.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's moving too fast. And the last one that I always think about, and I don't care, but the T-Rex sneaks into the building, the visitor center, to save them at the end, because every other time it's vibrations, it is suspense, it's buildup that it's coming. And because it's the Deus Ex Machina the last time, where it's going to save them from the Velociraptors, and it's going to be kind of a hero, we can't like know it's coming. So all of us, I'm just picturing him tiptoeing in there with his little arms up in the air and then being like, gotcha, he just shows up. But it doesn't matter, because whether it be the way it's shot or the way it's directed or the way it's acted, you are not stopping and slowing down to think about those things.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I don't think I would have thought about any of those if you didn't point them out. Couple of things I did think about. First is at some point toward the end, Lex just happens to mention, oh, well, I'm a hacker. And I was like, oh, that's convenient.
Yes, she likes to be called a hacker. Tim's calling her a computer nerd or something like that.
Yeah. But it's like it because it wasn't mentioned until minutes before we needed her to be a hacker. It was kind of like, oh, they could have put this in a little earlier.
It's a little convenient. I also think, based on what we really see her do, anybody could have done it. Like, we don't see her, like, when Samuel L. Jackson is messing with Nedry's desk, he's trying to input lines of code, and he needs to know specifically what Nedry did. Say, you didn't say the magic word. When Lex is doing it, it's for some reason, I guess, what we thought future computer stuff would be. She's like flying through this 3D space to click on boxes of security. And it's like, I think anybody could point their mouse and magic fly to that area. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, totally. The other thing is, Tim gets electrocuted briefly on the fence and then has CPR administered, and then all of a sudden he's okay. And also his legs were like spun around under the car. Like, he should have two broken legs. He should have bled out by now. Those legs should probably have been taken off. The fucking electrocution should have just been the nail in the coffin. Like, that is crazy.
Yes and no. I would say that his feet are never, like, his legs are never mangled under the car. Instead, it's just that because the car is slightly crushed, he can't pull his feet out from underneath the seats. So it's not like it was like the bones are stuck around. Yeah, but I just imagine he would have been spinning with the car. You know what I mean?
I guess. I'm just imagining the car spinning over his legs.
But you didn't even mention that he's in the car that goes over the cliff into the fucking tree. And then they're just like, let me check on Tim. And he's like, I threw up. And I'm like, thank God that's all you did. That's pretty remarkable.
I thought to myself, I'd throw up too if both my legs just got ripped off.
Every one of my bodily fluids would have been expelled. All of them.
Absolutely.
I'm shitting, pissing, all of it.
I've shit and pissed for less.
Oh, wait, I've shat and pissed because I just thought it was a fart, you know? Yeah. It happens. Meanwhile, Tim went over the goddamn fence and he was like, that hurt my tummy a bit.
Yeah. Anybody have any Pepto?
Yeah.
You know, the other thing that I was thinking about, and this is a little like specific to our interests and made me a little sad, but the owner of the island, who spared no expense. What's his name?
Richard Hammond.
Richard Hammond. Really gave me Steve Cohen vibes, you know?
I guess I could see that. I do love that, and I feel like I always forget about it, that he has like a Scottish accent type thing or whatever accent it is. I never think about it. And then the moment I hear it is whenever he goes, we have a T-Rex. And I'm like, oh, that's a very specific accent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just don't think about it in my head.
Corey was like, oh, he's British. And I said, no, he's Scottish. And then like it did, like no more discussion. And then at one point he says something about being Scottish. And I was like, ha.
I love some story about everybody during the hurricane. Everybody like went down to some conference room together.
Bunker.
That they could all be together, except for Richard Attenborough, who plays Hammond, stayed in his room. And the next day they were like, where were you? And he was like, dear boy, I survived the Blitz back in World War II. This is nothing, you know? He's just like, okay, you know, that's a cool old man Scottish flex.
Yeah. The scene where the kids are finally rescued, they're back in the dining hall, and they sort of take a deep breath and then immediately begin eating dessert. I'm like, that's me.
Yes, I love that scene. And I love the idea that it's just like, we can eat. And also, Hammond and Sattler are distressed and they're just like, the ice cream's going to melt. We should eat this ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a moment where she reaches across the table to get a spoonful of ice cream. And then they like go back to a wide shot and she's so far away from the ice cream. It's like, did she just like extend her arm that far?
That's the miracle of Jurassic Park. The spoons extend.
Yeah, it was
crazy. We spared no expense on these spoons.
I don't really have a ton else to say. It did make me long for a Jeep Wrangler.
Only you, not me.
Oh, you don't want a Wrangler?
Hell no.
Why?
Because the idea that something can like just so easily reach into the car that I'm in seems no good.
Oh, like a dinosaur?
Exactly, like a dinosaur.
Yeah. So were you scared of this movie as a child?
Absolutely. At parts, absolutely. Even now as an adult, like I would get it if somebody is like, oh, like reacts. It is such a cliche horror jump scare when the Velociraptor comes out after Ellie Sattler that I'd be shocked if you're seeing this in the theater and you don't like, oh, a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
It's made, you know, it's probably PG-13, but you know, a 10, 11-year-old could see this movie, but they're going to be a little scared.
Yeah, totally.
It's not a horror movie, but it's a little horrific. And
they definitely let small children on the ride at Universal. So if you're looking to be scarred for life,
their money's just as green as anyone else's.
Yeah.
Well, their parents.
You never went to Disney to like Animal Kingdom, right? Because they had a dinosaur ride that was pretty fucking scary.
I went once.
Do you remember this dinosaur ride?
No.
The T-Rex comes out of nowhere and like jumps out at you, and then the car, it does one of those things where the car like drops a couple of stories. Whew, lethal combo.
I'm sure you weren't scared by it, but you see how it could be scary, like if you had seen this as a kid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting, right? Because looking back on it now in the year of our Lord 2026, the CGI and the practical stuff in the 1993 movie is not super scary because technology has come such a long way. And so you can kind of tell that it's not real. Not that I think that there would be real
Even with the
dinosaurs.
practical stuff, you feel that way? Because with the
The,
practical stuff, it is real. You know what I mean?
the practical stuff, I think the oh God, Stegosaurus, is that what it was?
When?
The like sick dinosaur?
Triceratops.
Triceratops, thank you. The Triceratops, very real, really, really good stuff. But like the Velociraptor kind of going back and forth between like CGI, practical CGI, like I don't know. Maybe I'm just an adult and I'm like, oh, this is not real. This dinosaur is not real.
I also
But
think the trouble is you're acutely aware of it because we talk so much about Jurassic Park, one of the first big uses of CGI, yada, 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 you know?
sure. However, my point, before I lose my train of thought, is that on the one hand, this is a little dated-ish, and you're watching it and you're like, okay, whatever. And then you have the modern Jurassic Parks, which admittedly I have not seen, but I imagine are so CGI'd that you're like also not quite believing it. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is there is such a sweet spot between old technology being like not quite caught up and then new technology being too far toward the uncanny valley that it's very hard to make something like that and have it be scary. And I think the best parts of this movie and the parts of this movie that were genuinely like, oh my God, was the suspense building up to the dinosaurs. I think that is where it is set apart because in the newer ones, if there are too many dinosaurs, it becomes like, okay, I get it.
I pretty much agree with every single thing you just said. I think this is the best version of it because so much of it does rely on two things: practicality whenever you can, and suspense whenever you can. It's, we talk about Jaws to this day, and so much of what ended up working about Jaws is that they wait so long to actually show you the shark and it builds up. They do the same thing here. I really forgot that from that first Velociraptor kill to the time we get to the next scary experience with a dinosaur, it's half the movie.
Yeah.
And because of that, because we got into experience in awe and in nicety, oh, look how big they are. Oh, from a distance are these herbivores. They're so nice that by the time we get to the water and the mirror, we know, oh, this is not going to be good. This is bad. And that's what's scary about it. Not that, and the sound design of the roars. You know what I mean? It does a really good job. But yeah, it's a big problem with the newer ones, especially the Jurassic Worlds, is they get to a point where it's like, it can't just be dinosaurs anymore. So we're inventing new dinosaurs in these movies.
Oh, jeez.
There's one called like Indominus Rex, Indoraptor. I'm trying to remember what the newest one is in Jurassic World Rebirth, where they're like, this one was a genetic freak that was too ugly for the park, and that's why they stuck it on this island. It's the D-Rex, I think they call it, or something like that. And it basically looks like this giant, hideous thing. And I get it, but this isn't a dinosaur movie anymore. It's just a monster movie. You know what I mean? It's just Cloverfield-ish.
Yeah.
And it gets to be a bit too much. You get one good shot of like a helicopter comes to rescue these people, and the giant D-Rex or whatever it is just comes and bites the helicopter. And I'm like, this is just a kaiju, but it's cool. It works.
Yeah.
It's just not, you've sort of lost the awe that makes it's such a quintessential part, is seeing these people who have devoted their lives to dinosaurs. It's such a nice moment when we get to hear Dr. Grant go, they're moving in herds. They do move in herds. Like, it's for him, this validation of his life's work of like, oh my God, the things I thought, they can all be proven now. And that's why they're not scared at all, because they're so intrigued. It works in that sense. But now we get to a point where it's just like, everybody's seen a dinosaur, so we got to make it even bigger and better. And they're literally saying that in the movies now. And I'm like, I don't think if we only got to see them in these parks, ever get tired of a dinosaur that we would say, it's got to be bigger, scarier, more teeth, you know? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, and what's really funny to me, I assume that they're all like it's one jointed plot, right? So it's not like forget those other ones, like this is a brand new movie. They're all related in some way.
Yes and no. Like Jurassic World really references Jurassic Park 1. They're like, in Jurassic World, we've already got a park that's been up and running and is open to the public. And so they'll reference, they're like, well, you didn't make the mistakes with that first Jurassic Park. Or like a guy will be wearing a Jurassic Park shirt and he's like, the OG park, that was the one that had the right idea with some of this stuff. And it's like, I don't think a person would wear a souvenir shirt of a park where it never really opened and a couple of people died.
Yeah. Well, because what I was gonna say is if they're doing like, and now we need to make them bigger and scarier and
Yes.
with more teeth, it's like, but all the every other time we've done this, something really bad happened. Like, at what point do we learn our lesson?
And I think it only really works to me, and it works best in that first Jurassic World movie, which is the fourth movie, because they finally have done it. They've opened a park and they've gone to a point of hubris of, no, we know how to do this. We've been doing this for a bit. We can do this well.
Yeah.
And then it's just our reach exceeds our grasp again. That it's the
Do you
illusion
think
was the control, that you thought you had.
Totally. Do you think that the first zoos had problems like this? Like, do you think the first time they were like, I have an idea. We're gonna take a lion and we're gonna put it in a little enclosure and let people look at it. And then they were like, ah shit, I guess we should make the fences higher.
Cap, I'd love to tell you about a little ape named Harambe.
Oh
So,
God.
Still have problems
Oh,
like that.
no.
Not that long
No.
ago.
We went to the Bronx Zoo for Corey's birthday, and it was so depressing because so many parents just let their kids like bang on the glass at these gorillas. And I'm like, these poor fucking gorillas who are obviously just like ignoring you because you're a fucking asshole. And like, I just feel so bad for them. And it's funny because when the movie started, and they're loading in this like big, what I assume to be a new dinosaur, right? And they're like loading it in on a crane and whatever, and it's in this giant cage. I looked at Corey and I said, are you supposed to feel bad for the dinosaurs? Because I feel bad for the dinosaurs. I feel like I'm on team dinosaur. And he was kind of like, you can kind of whatever. And then they fed the dinosaurs a cow. And I was like, nope, I'm wrong. I am team cow. I feel bad for the cows. I feel bad for the goats.
Yeah, but that's the cycle of any zoo too. They're feeding the lions something.
They're not feeding them Walmart steaks, which are
Maybe
not
Joe
real
Exotic
animals.
is in the fucking Tiger King. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But animal, that's the circle of life. Animals are eating other animals. And
Yeah.
I do think, again, it's a scene I appreciate because when they go to feed the cow to the raptors, once again, we have all of these scientists who are not discussing. They're like, oh, holy shit, they're doing it. You know what I mean? They're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this, again, it's just validating for them. I think the one where you first start to feel bad is the goat that's getting lowered for the T-Rex, where I'm like, oh shit. And the goat's just like, guess I'll just wait here to die. Like,
Yeah, I'm just gonna lay down for a bit.
yeah, he's just chained. And you've got Dr. Grant talking about he doesn't want it fed to him. He wants to hunt it. And the goat's like, sorry, I'm not dying it well enough for you. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. That always tugs on my heartstrings a bit.
I do think that Dr. Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum's character, has so many banger lines, but the biggest scene for him is that scene where they're in the projector room, the boardroom, talking about the park. And he's just line after everything he says, I feel like is iconic. When he's talking about the power here, that it didn't require any discipline to attain it. What is it? He says, you patented it and you packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You're selling it. And he's banging the table. Or your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should. Dinosaurs had their shot and nature selected them for extinction. What you call discovery, I call the rape of the natural world. Like every single thing he says is like, could be a soundbite.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was my favorite character.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, why is a science dude wearing all black and leather pants and jacket? It's jeans, black jeans, but like, why is he all in black like he is, I don't know, Richard Lewis or something like
He's
that?
the James Dean of math and chaos or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Him flirting with Ellie Sattler right in front of Dr. Graham, where he's like, let me do drops of water on your hand, and he's like,
Yeah.
Just minor imperfections, nothing visible to the naked eye. It's so ridiculous, but it just works.
We also haven't talked at all about the sort of like B plot line of the guy becoming fatherly and loving the children.
Which I do think really goes against a lot of the reviews of this movie you talked about. It's all spectacle. And I'm like, no, you get very much a character journey for Dr. Grant.
Yeah.
And if he would, I would say more than anyone is our main character. And you totally get a journey for him of, I hate kids are dumb, to, even though, it is worth laying my life on the line for these kids to protect them.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was lovely.
Yes.
He and Laura Dern's character are dating, engaged, married, having children.
They're dating, I guess it seems like. And it seems that she's interested in fully settling down and he's interested in digging for more bones.
In dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bones.
Yeah. All right. I have nothing else to say.
Wow. That is so many dinosaur bones.
Have you watched that like 100 times?
I have not, but I feel like I'm thinking of it all the time. I don't know how we're going to explain this, but
absolutely explosive diarrhea.
Diarrhea in the morning, diarrhea in the afternoon,
and of course, diarrhea in the evening.
There's a real, look it up, some French guy talking about his dog eating, some guy talking about his French veterinarian that he took his dog to after he ate way too many bones.
And then had explosive diarrhea.
I do love, I want to talk about Nedry real quick, because Nedry talks about, like, before he enacts his plan, he's trying to be casual and he says something about, I'm going to go grab a drink. Does anybody want a drink? I'm going to go grab a drink. And that's like, I'm going to step away now and enact my plot. But eventually things are shutting down and it waits long enough that you forget about him saying that. So they're just trying to figure out where he is. It just seems like such a slight, him and going, where's Nedry? Check the vending machines. We're just like, come on, man. That's not where he has to be. And then I'm like, oh, wait, he did say he's going to get a drink.
That is hilarious. When you see him, that actor specifically, you, of course, think of him as Newman, right?
I think of two things. I think of him as Newman, and I think of him in Space Jam. But Newman first.
So Corey only thinks of him as Stan Podolak.
For Space Jam?
Yeah.
Lace up your Nikes, grab a Wheaties and a Big Mac on the way to the game, and put your hands on. Yeah.
He only thinks of him as Stan Podolak, and Corey often describes people as a Stan Podolak type. And I'm like, it's so funny because I just think Newman.
Hey, it's nice to have two iconic enough characters that you know them by name. Although I wouldn't have known Stan Podolak's name without you saying it.
Well, I only know it because of Corey, because I'll tell you what, this is going to disappoint you. I've also never seen Space Jam.
That's not one I'm going to be like, you got to watch Space Jam. But Wayne Knight, currently in theaters, and I don't know if it's still currently in theaters, but Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So I'm like, good for you, man.
Oh, good for him. Yeah. I think I may be lying to you. Space Jam may be a movie that I rented from Blockbuster and like kind of watched once as a kid. But did you see the reel I sent you this morning about Peter Pan?
I have not.
Okay. Do you remember, as children, I had a VHS tape of a recording. This is not like a bootleg VHS. This was like purchased at a store. It was a recording of the 1960 Broadway production of Peter Pan, starring oh my God, what the hell is her name? My mom would be losing it. Mary Martin as Peter Pan.
Okay.
And it's like a really bad production where this like grown woman with a perm is playing Peter Pan, and she's flying around on like visible wire. And the guy who plays Captain Hook is like a Shakespearean actor. He's basically like doing a Muppets Christmas Carol style Michael Caine shit. And the dog is like a person in a dog suit, and it's so bad. But I watched it so many times that, much like the Caesar's Palace video game, my parents hid it from me so that I would watch literally anything else. And I saw a reel that came up that was like, yeah, my cousins and I got this VHS. We asked for the Disney version of Peter Pan, but my grandma bought us this, and we watched it, and it was so bad. And then we watched it again and again and again and again. And I'm like, oh, it's us.
Isn't it funny as kids the way we just latch on to certain things?
Dylan, I was latched. I was fully latched. But I feel like you definitely watched it with me. And so in this reel, and the reason I bring it up to you and the reason I sent it to you, there's a lot of footage from the movie, like just overlaid while he's talking. And I feel like you have to recognize it. Like you have to.
See if I do. We'll see. I recognize so little childhood. I blocked that out to maintain any semblance of sanity.
I know, but I feel like this is gonna do it. All the white people dressed up like Native Americans.
Oh my God.
It's going to come to you.
I do love also to bring it back to 1993's Jurassic Park.
Mm.
The shaving cream can, I love it getting lost in the mud and just sinking fully away into the mud, never to be found. And it's like, there's $1.5 million. It was not worth your life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I always love the idea that like that's the point, not that it should be brought back for any other reason, not that it's meant to set up anything, which of course eventually a sequel does use that at some point, but it never should be, is the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to the, oh, they're all female, but like, oh, because of the frog DNA, they can like change genders.
Mhm.
Is that a plot point that is critiqued?
Not really, because that all just goes back to the life finds a way thing, which is set up many times. They find the eggs in the wild and they say they're breeding. They used amphibian DNA to fill the sequence gaps. West African frogs can change sex from female to male. It's just showing you that life found a way. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That it just goes back to the idea of the control you thought you had, you did not have.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
It's also, people have pointed this out now as being such a semblance, like a slight little showing of finding a way. When they're in the helicopter and they're starting to land, and Dr. Grant only has the two female ends of the seatbelt, you know what I'm talking about, where the thing clicks into. He doesn't have the actual thing that's supposed to click in.
Yep.
He just finds a way, he ties them together so that he can still have a seatbelt on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
It does. The movie does so many little things like that. I think for a movie that is 2 hours and 2 minutes or a little bit longer, it is so, everything rolls right into the next thing so perfectly, so succinctly. When you go back and rewatch things, there's stuff that it's like, oh my God, that one line sets up this later, and it's pretty perfect from top to bottom in my mind. And obviously it's shot beautifully.
I'm going to ask you a really embarrassing question. Okay, so keep
embarrass
this just
yourself.
between, no. This stays just between me and you. Did
Is
Spielberg?
Is editing Dylan cutting this out?
No.
Oh, okay,
Editing Dylan can keep this. I was just making a joke.
Oh, good.
No, I'll be explicitly clear when I need editing Dylan to make a change. Did Spielberg direct Jaws?
Yes, that was
okay. Good. That was his first,
huge
right?
movie. It's his second feature-length film, but it's his first blockbuster. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, then, and I've never seen Jaws, but I feel like very similar to this movie, I probably don't have to, right? I probably know exactly what happens. It visually, I'd like to see how it's done, but I imagine that there are probably a lot of similarities between these two movies in terms of how they're shot, correct?
Yes and no. This has a lot more grandiosity to it because there's scenes with projector lights behind actors that is just giving them this beautiful backlight type thing. And with Jaws, so much of it is out on the water or in the daylight on Amity Island. So it's a different style to it, but both movies are gorgeous to look at.
Okay, that's fine. Interested to know how many movies, or at least like big blockbusters, came between this and Jaws. Like, what did he have? He had this, he had Jaws, he had Schindler's List is before 93, correct?
I will mention Schindler's List when we get to the facts, actually, but Schindler's List is shot almost at the exact same time as this.
Have you ever seen Schindler's List?
I have.
Oh, God. Would you watch it again?
Only if I'm showing it to someone else. Otherwise, I don't need to do that to myself.
Oh, God. I've never seen it, and my mom was like, you don't have to.
I mean, I think you should, because it's like, it's a great movie, but no, you don't have to. So between Jaws and this, I'll just read you the big ones for Steven Spielberg.
Thank you.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, The Color Purple, Empire of the Sun, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Hook, and then we get back to Jurassic Park.
He directed Hook and you still won't watch it?
I'm not against watching the movie. I just, my hot take that people are going to come after me for is I think Robin Williams sometimes is a little overrated, and I think Hook is a little overrated. I like Hook. I'm not in love with Hook. Can't I not be in love with Hook?
You can be. I just find it to be so preposterous. Anyway,
oh
my God. So sorry to bring it back to the Peter Pan, Mary Martin thing, but one of the really interesting things, and I actually am going to talk to you offline about potentially doing this on the podcast. So apparently this Broadway production of Peter Pan was so popular that every year NBC ran the taping that I had on VHS. So every year they would play it, right? And then in 2014, they redid it. And they did it with Allison Williams as Peter Pan. and Christopher Walken as Captain Hook. And it was terrible. It tanked. And I cannot begin to explain to you. They show one clip in this reel of Christopher Walken saying something as Captain Hook. And let me tell you, it's exactly what you would imagine it to be. And oh my God, we have to watch it.
The moment you said Christopher Walken as Captain Hook, I was like, oh my God. Tick tock, tick tock.
Yes, yes. He's like, oh, Peter Pan.
I'm going to shoot you in the face, Peter.
It's like to do the double feature of Mary Martin Peter Pan and Allison Williams Peter Pan might break the internet. I think we have to do it.
Peter Pan, you fucked with the wrong man.
But like Dustin Hoffman is the best Captain Hook as far as I'm concerned.
I guess to me too, but it's just animated one in him for me.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get back to that. All right, I'm done. Facts, please.
I want the truth!
Face the facts, dukes.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
A lot of facts, Gab. Because of how popular this movie is, I'm going to have so many facts for you, so I'm sorry. Starting with our ratings, the tomato meter, it has a 91%, 186 fresh reviews, and 18 rotten. Audience score of 91% with an average score of 4.3 out of 5. An 8.2 on IMDb out of 10. It was released June 13th, 1993, and opened in first ahead of other movies you could have seen at the time. Cliffhanger, Hot Shots Part 2, The Super Mario Brothers Movie, Scent of a Woman, and Groundhog Day. It had a budget of $63 million and grossed $1.1 billion.
Holy shit.
The critics' consensus, Jurassic Park is a spectacle of special effects and lifelike animatronics, with some of Spielberg's best sequences of sustained awe and sheer terror since Jaws. Roger Ebert gave it 3 stars. He said, because the movie delivers on the bottom line, I'm giving it 3 stars. You want great dinosaurs? You got great dinosaurs. Caroline Westbrook from Empire Magazine, cliche or no, there's no getting around it. Quite simply one of the greatest blockbusters of all time. David Anson from Newsweek, Jurassic Park doesn't have organic flow. It can't disguise its clunky B-movie soul.
Oh.
Kenneth Turan from the LA Times, do the dinosaurs work? Indeed they do. Does anything else? Not really. Which I think is crazy, but whatever. Letterboxd. Vinny Sims, Timmy, you little shit, just climb through the fucking fence. You're like 3 feet tall, you fucking idiot. One of the cruelest pranks I've ever seen is him pretending to get electrocuted. I'm like, what's wrong with you, man?
Oh, that was so terrible.
He's figuring out how to work with these kids. Demi Adejuibe, honestly, would have been fine if they just did the park with the herbivores. I think they should give it another shot. Frames of Nick, I'd be the guy that gets eaten on the toilet. I'm always shitting. Me too, Nick. And last one from Daddy Deathbone. How the fuck did Steven Spielberg put out this and Schindler's List in the same year?
That's crazy.
We'll talk more about that. Do you want to hear director and start and all that, or do you want to hear fun facts?
Fun facts.
And then we'll get back to that stuff. Okay. My first fun facts I'm going to start with unused taglines.
Uh-oh.
That's right. I'm sneaking in more taglines.
Oh, great.
Some of the unused taglines that the poster artist John Alvin and his wife Andrea Alvin came up with include the following. So real, it's amazing. So close, you can touch them. And nothing, but nothing can go wrong.
Okay.
In Jurassic Park, your imagination isn't the only thing that runs wild.
Oh, well, I don't hate that.
It began with one man's mind and became reality. It was a world unseen for millions of years, brought back to entertain us, to astound us, and amaze us with its power.
Well, that's too long.
I felt like as I started to read that, I was like, how long am I going to keep going? If an ordinary theme park breaks down, the guests are not usually eaten alive.
Yeah, I like the pirates better.
The biggest, most technologically advanced thrill isn't a ride at all.
Okay.
The most terrible flesh-eating monster in the history of the planet. Alive. Here. Now.
Sure.
The ultimate form of recreation, which I feel like it's recreation and recreation mixed together, but there's a dash, so I don't know what to do with it.
Oh, God.
Frankenstein 1918, Jurassic Park 1993, creations of terrifying proportions.
No, that doesn't work. I get what they're trying to do, but it doesn't work.
Imagine a time when the most dominant creature on Earth is not man. That time is summer 1993.
How many more of these are there?
That's the last one.
Oh, thank God.
What I have now for you is a lot of fun facts.
Okay.
Interest in paleontology waned during the atomic age and space race, but according to Dr. Nate Smith of the Natural History Museum's Dinosaur Institute, Jurassic Park coming out generated a bunch of interest amongst young people that wanted to become paleontologists and get into this field. As a result, numerous new dinosaur species have been discovered since then, at roughly the rate of 50 new dinosaur discoveries per year, or about one a week.
Holy shit. So I'm going to say something maybe that's a little bit ignorant here, but I would have thought that all the dinosaurs had been discovered.
No, I guess we're still doing it.
Yeah, still digging bones up.
Digging those bones.
So many bones.
So many bones. Hopefully those paleontologists do not get diarrhea.
Explosive diarrhea.
The T-Rex occasionally malfunctioned due to the unforeseen rain. Producer Kathleen Kennedy recalls the T-Rex went into the heebie-jeebies sometimes, scared the crap out of us. We'd be like eating lunch and all of a sudden the T-Rex would come alive. At first, we didn't know what was happening, and then we realized it was the rain. You would just hear people start screaming because this thing was moving on its own.
Horrifying.
According to behind-the-scenes book, The Making of Jurassic Park, the infamous roar of the Tyrannosaurus was a composite mix of a dog, penguin, tiger snarl, alligator gurgle, and most importantly, a baby elephant squealing. The very deep alligator vocals acted as the low-frequency element to the final roar. However, as sound designer Gary Rydstrom stresses, the key part is the high-frequency element, the baby elephant. During the recording session, the baby elephant only did the iconic cute high-pitched scream that forms the basis of every T-Rex roar in the film once. We kept trying to get it to do it again, and the handlers were saying, we never heard it do that before. It's a weird sound. As Rydstrom stresses, the introduction of the T-Rex is a scene expressly planned around sound design. I think maybe other directors would have had a shock moment when you see the T-Rex show up out of the blue. Spielberg was great in the T-Rex scene by getting several minutes of tension because you knew what was coming, and you knew it because you heard it before you saw it. It's nice when movies think about sound that way. He also described that the Velociraptor sounds are a mixture of dolphin and walrus sounds.
Oh my God.
He was like, when you know these things, it makes them a lot less scary.
It's very true.
Author Michael Crichton, who wrote the book for Jurassic Park, was paid $2 million for the rights to his novel before it was even published. His agent circulated the book to 6 studios and directors. Warner Brothers wanted it for Tim Burton to direct. Columbia Pictures was planning it for Richard Donner. 20th Century Fox was interested and intended the project for Joe Dante. Universal wanted Steven Spielberg. Michael Crichton was reluctant to submit to a bidding war. He told his agent to put that set price of $2 million on the film rights so that he could decide who was most likely to get the actual film made. He interviewed all the prospective directors and agreed to sell to Universal and Spielberg, who was already his first choice.
That's great.
I'm just picturing Tim Burton somewhere like, that guy wasted my fucking time. So Steven Spielberg oversaw the post-production of Jurassic Park via video link while in Poland filming Schindler's List. He called it one of the hardest times in his life as a filmmaker, and it took an emotional toll on him that his enthusiasm for this movie had almost waned. He said he needed an hour per day to muster up the energy, which I imagine it's tough mustering up energy to comment on digital dinosaurs and answer trivial questions from the special effects crew after he's just doing like horrible scenes of like Holocaust related stuff. And then he's like, yeah, I guess that roar's good.
Yeah. Listen, millions of people died, but sure, he can be on the toilet. It's fine.
The most difficult effect to pull off was the vibrating rings of water in the cup. Spielberg wanted the T-Rex to announce its presence before the audience saw it. When Michael Lantieri was trying to replicate with water what Steven Spielberg had in his car when it was vibrating bass effects while listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire, it was harder than anything else he had done. So he couldn't figure out how to do it, but the night before they shoot, Lantieri puts a glass of water on a guitar and plucks the string. That did it. So for the scene, they had guitar strings under the dashboard to get this effect. A man on the floor was plucking the strings so that the water would move.
That's crazy.
It grossed $47 million in its opening weekend, which was the biggest opening weekend gross in history at the time, breaking the record set by Batman Returns the year before. During the kitchen scene, the raptor clicking its toenails was done with a puppeteer walking on raptor's legs, and there's a time where you could see behind the scenes footage of a guy just holding raptor legs being wheeled and just stomping the legs down, and I think it looks adorable. Steven Spielberg made $250 million from this movie's gross and profit participations. It is the most somebody has ever made from a single movie.
Holy shit. To this day?
I believe so.
Wow.
Around 3 years after this movie wrapped, it was discovered that many carnivorous dinosaurs were mostly or fully feathered, and some had actual wings rather than arms, implying that Dr. Grant is correct. They share a common ancestor with birds. A small relative of Velociraptor called Microraptor, discovered in 2000, had 4 wings, using its front limbs to glide between trees, while the wings on its legs acted as a sort of rudder.
Wow.
Selected in 2018 by the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The T-Rex model was controlled with a Waldo, which is a term I'd never heard before, but it's a very small replica used to manipulate it to get it to respond exactly as you manipulate the small replica.
Oh, interesting.
They weren't supposed to get it wet because it was fine-tuned into exact amounts of how much it weighed. As they were shooting the rain scene and it stops responding, and they were just trying to literally towel it down or use like ShamWow type shit on it to like keep this thing dry. When it attacked Lex and Tim in the car, it lost some teeth on top of the car as it like went down on it because of its being wet. They tried to glue them back in, but one of them refused to go after 20 minutes. So there's a shot, if you pause in the right place, I believe it's one of the times where he's pushing down on the sunroof that he's knocked onto the kids, where if you pause it, you can see the T-Rex is missing a tooth.
That is so funny. In a million years, if you'd have given me the rest of my life, I never would have noticed that.
For the part of the movie where the T-Rex catches the Gallimimus, the ones that are all flocking, when it catches it and shakes it in its mouth, the sound was taken from sound designer Gary Rydstrom's Jack Russell Terrier shaking a toy in its mouth.
Hilarious.
The movie was nominated for 3 Academy Awards and won all 3 that it was nominated for: Best Sound, Best Sound Effects Editing, and Best Visual Effects. James Cameron was trying to buy the rights briefly, and has said in an interview that he wanted to do the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Grant, Bill Paxton as Ian Malcolm, and Charlton Heston as Hammond.
Listen, I love Bill Paxton, but Jesus Christ.
They do move in herds, we will ride.
I love dinosaurs.
Get these fucking kids away from me. He also has said that he thinks his version would have been more R-rated and more like Aliens with a lot of more horror elements. So he thinks Spielberg was more the right guy for it.
Agreed.
Easy to say now.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dr. Grant, Sam Neill, who plays him, struggled to have an American accent for the role. Halfway through the first day of filming, Spielberg told him to forget about the accent and just talk with his regular voice. 2 days later, he said Spielberg comes up to him and he goes, "Remember how I was asking you just to talk with your regular voice? Go halfway between the 2 voices we're doing." So I imagine they had to redo some stuff because he's from New Zealand, I believe. So I'm guessing at times it just sounded a little off.
Oh, God.
Okay, I'm going to skip this one fact for now, and I'm going to come back to it after I tell you about the director and all that. Almost done, Gab, I promise.
Okay.
The movie's directed by Steven Spielberg, who I already described directed Jaws, Catch Me If You Can, E.T., Saving Private Ryan, and so many other movies.
Just iconic.
The screenplay is written by David Koepp and Michael Crichton and based on his book. David Koepp also wrote Zathura, Twister, Secret Window, and Death Becomes Her.
Twister scarred me.
Oh, wait. David Koepp did not write Twister. Michael Crichton wrote Twister. My mistake.
Still scarred.
Yes. Stars Sam Neill as Dr. Grant, who you may know from Daybreakers, In the Mouth of Madness, and The Hunt for Red October. Laura Dern as Ellie Sattler, who you may know from Blue Velvet, Jay Kelly, and Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm, who you may know from The Fly, Wicked, and Independence Day. Richard Attenborough as Hammond, who you may know from The Great Escape and Miracle on 34th Street. Bob Peck as Muldoon, who you may know from Edge of Darkness and Slipstream. And really, I didn't know Bob Peck from anything else, but I love Muldoon, who just rocks short shorts the entire time. He and that lawyer just rocking the short shorts. B.D. Wong as Wu, who you know from SVU as Huang, or as Shang in Mulan. Joseph Fazzello as Tim, who you may know from Bohemian Rhapsody, The River Wild, and Star Kid. Ariana Richards as Lex, who you may know from Tremors and The Lost World Jurassic Park. Samuel L. Jackson as Arnold, who you may know as Nick Fury in the MCU or as Frozone in The Incredibles. And lastly, Wayne Knight as Nedry, who you may know from Seinfeld as Newman and Space Jam.
I don't think I knew that Samuel L. Jackson was Frozone.
Where is my super suit, woman? You didn't know that?
I had no fucking idea. That just blew my mind. I've seen that movie a million times.
If you don't know, now you know, Gab. And the music is by John Williams, who also did the music for Star Wars, Superman, Indiana Jones, Home Alone, and Jaws. I want to talk about one man Phil Tippett, who was credited as the dinosaur supervisor and did a terrible job supervising those dinosaurs.
What?
Yeah, they all broke out. They killed people. Phil, what were you doing? Phil Tippett was also a visual effects supervisor on movies like Starship Troopers, RoboCop, and The Twilight Saga. Let me tell you one little more bit about him. He became highly depressed working on this movie because he was hired to do go motion, which is a slightly more advanced version of stop motion. So it would have been all the dinosaurs when you see them full body in stop motion, this go motion, with maybe some slight enhancements by CGI. After Industrial Light and Magic animators discovered they could do these full motions all with CGI, they tell Phil, we're not doing the go motion anymore. Like, we don't need it for this. So Phil's trying to figure out what's going to happen here. His stop motion models would never be seen in the movie, but his techniques were determined to be quite useful in animating the computer generated dinosaurs, given how much research he had put into the animal movement. Rather than creating dinosaur motion using keyframe animation, it was decided to build a stop motion armature for each computer generated dinosaur and manipulate it as they would for the stop motion. So these armatures were specially built with motion sensors and linked up to animated dinosaurs being created in the computer. So the motion of his go motion armature was directly translated into the computer generated version that appears in the final movie. So Phil Tippett was saved. But originally, the line that was said when he found out that it was going to be all CGI was, "I think we're extinct," which they end up putting in the movie.
Oh, that's crazy.
Phil Tippett, though, dinosaur supervisor. I love that.
Yeah. That's got to be on his epitaph, you know?
Phil Tippett, mediocre dinosaur supervisor.
Yeah. Like father, grandfather, dinosaur supervisor.
Honestly, I hope he has enough sense of humor that he does that, because that would be awesome.
You know what's crazy to me? And we don't have to harp on this, and you can cut this if you want, but like, isn't it crazy that there are people who don't believe in dinosaurs?
I 100% know people who do not believe in dinosaurs.
How do those people sleep at night?
I'm still not sure. For the specific person I'm thinking of, I'm like, are you kidding or not? And he's like, I'm dead serious. And I'm like, are you kidding now or not?
Is it like a religious thing?
No.
Oh, it's just a tinfoil hat thing.
Yeah, he's just like, you can't prove it. Like, if you can't prove to me that they lived, how do I know? I'm like,
you can prove it.
What about the bones? And he's like, I don't know that those are real.
So many bones.
So many bones. We're very quick to have conspiracy brains nowadays.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
That's all the facts I've got, Gab, though. The facts are now extinct.
All right. Well, Dylan, there's only one thing to do.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
My pick, I'll go first. I think it's pretty easy to say. This is a classic. You've got arguably the best director, arguably the best composer, some iconic actors, some of the best effects you're ever going to see in a movie, I think, to this day still. Like, sure, some of the CGI is aged, but the practical effects look gorgeous and everything works. Everything works to me. You know, I was just watching scenes, like I said, of them in the projector room, and I was just thinking, oh my God, this is just a shot of Sam Neill looking at stuff, and it looks gorgeous. You know what I mean? So many moments like that where the music is just so iconic. Like, I, after watching this, did find myself thinking, da 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 da.
Is it the same guy who does all the music?
What do you mean?
Well, there's a guy, right? What's his name? Something Williams?
John Williams.
John Williams. It's him, right?
Yeah, he's the composer. Yeah, you don't listen to me at all during these times, do you? Motherfucker, you.
No. I'm just saying. I listened. I was just confirming. Yeah.
I think it's iconic. I think it's a movie to watch before you die, and I think it's one of the most important movies ever made.
That's a big statement, Dill.
You
think this movie is more important than Vampire's Kiss?
Yes, 100%. I don't think we're getting so many of the movies we see today technologically without this movie coming first.
Sure. Okay. All right. So, you know, I went into this assuming I was going to like it. I think obviously, like, how can the whole world be wrong? You know what I mean? I definitely think that because it is such a renowned classic that I was expecting to feel the way I felt the first time I watched Die Hard, which was like, oh my God, I'll never be the same. I want to watch this movie every day. It was so good. And I definitely didn't feel like that. I think it was, and listen, I'm gonna say yes. So wipe that off your face, okay? It's good. Dylan looked like he had just seen his whole family blown to smithereens.
I would prefer that.
Well, I mean, that's not saying much. As a member of your family, I just feel like I get it. I think that it there's a level of expectation that I had that perhaps wasn't met, not by the fault of the film, right? Just simply by the fault of how built up it had been.
Sure,
so,
30 years of hype. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think watching, like, I wasn't expecting to like Die Hard. I loved it, right? I'm having a very hard time thinking of other movies we've done recently.
I love how Die Hard is like your barometer for all movies now.
It is, truly. We just did a movie that we watched, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how good that was. Training Day, thank you. Like, oh my God, that was so good. I didn't quite feel that way. And I think part of it is just because it's so, there was no shock and surprise, right? It's so
yeah, I think that's the
embedded.
difference with those movies you're talking about is you didn't know what you were getting from Die Hard and Training Day when you went into them.
Sure, yes. So I'm happy that I saw it. I don't think that there's any way to possibly say no. I think we owe Steven Spielberg quite a bit as a society. I think we owe that movie quite a bit as a society, like not even joking. But it definitely, like, it was exactly what I thought it was. And it was good. And I'm happy I saw it. And I think what's beautiful about our podcast is that we spend a lot of time focusing on movies that are not obvious. And so therefore, this was kind of like a, I feel like we're playing t-ball when we used to play softball.
Yeah, there was not a lot of hard plays for you here where you had to field a really difficult ground ball. No, these were nice little pop-ups, this one.
Yeah.
I do feel like the back and forth was just like, this was good. This was good. It was good.
Yeah. And that's great, right? I'm sure somebody is a Jurassic Park enthusiast and they recently found our podcast because we did this episode and maybe they never would have heard about us otherwise. But I definitely, like, I went in thinking this is going to be the next, Die Hard, the next Training Day. And it wasn't.
I do want to know, though, if you are like the number one Jurassic Park hater and you listen to things just because you hate Jurassic Park, like, let me know. Put a comment down below if you're like, oh, God, these fucking idiots like Jurassic Park. Oh, fools.
There's gotta be people out there that are like anti. You know what I did realize? I started thinking about these new Jurassic Park movies and I was conflating them with the new Jumanji because I'm like, what the fuck is Kevin Hart doing in Jurassic Park?
Wait, I would love to see like The Rock and Kevin Hart running away from the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah,
he just hops on The Rock's back and he carries him. Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's not that. This is the Scarlett Johansson thing.
In my head, though, I'm now picturing the number one Jurassic Park hater is Tim Burton because he didn't get the rights. He's like, pick Spielberg over me, will ya? Like,
definitely, no question. Yeah. He's like, it wasn't weird enough.
It needs to be more gothic.
Yeah, there wasn't enough weirdos.
The buildings aren't angular enough.
Oh man. Well, and I'll leave you with this. I think we talked about Disney a little bit earlier, and, I want to make it clear to the listener, like, I'm not a Disney adult, and I just come from a family where, like, I've been to Disney 4 times, which is kind of a lot for someone who's 33, but not as many as some weirdos. So listen, I'm not weird is all I'm trying to say. But I think what's really interesting is obviously Disney came long before 1993, but you're looking at this theme park and you're like, oh, Disney would definitely do something like this, like something that's kind of unethical and really like potentially dangerous, but like anything for a buck, like we're just trying to like one up our competition. And so there was a level of like, oh, this could like really happen,
Wait, what do you mean this could really happen?
Well, obviously they can't bring dinosaurs back, but I'm saying like the concept of a very high ticket theme park that does something kind of unethical and kind of dangerous, but like is going to be really good for the bottom line is something that Disney could do. Like, I'm sure that there are going to be, theme parks in the future from Disney that are like, are you sure we should be doing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I assume that's something that they're already doing, probably, that we just don't know about yet.
Yeah, there's like, I'm trying to think of examples. Like Animal Kingdom it's a zoo, right? But like you can't really see the enclosures. Like it's not like when you go to the Bronx Zoo and you're behind a pane of glass. They have the animals so they can't get out, but you feel like you're just walking through the jungle and oh, look, there's a tiger. You can't see what is stopping the tiger from getting to you.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's almost like a step in the direction, right? Where like what is stopping the time? I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit, but you know what I mean. I just think there's a level of like, oh yeah, we could get greedy enough to do some crazy shit.
Yeah, I think the point should remain, you know what? Not that big a deal to have a pane of glass between us and that tiger, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be okay. All right, say the things we say.
Oh no, Gab. You say the things we say.
Okay. All right. Let me just wind up here. Thank you so much for listening to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. If you are interested in letting us know your thoughts on this movie or any of the movies that we've reviewed, you can send an email to movies-to-watch-before-you-die@gmail.com. You can send a voice note. You can send a cartoon rendering of your reaction. You can send claymation, stopmation, go-mation, whatever kind of mation you want. In the link tree below, you will find a link to the Hall of Pods podcasting network, which is our friends and family and a lot of Batman stuff if you're into that. You can also find a link to our storefront so you can buy merch to show everybody how much you love our podcast. You can also send me money for being your favorite entertainer. And lastly, bye.
You have a T-Rex.
When she looks at you, you can see she's working things out. That's why we have to feed them like this. She had them all attacking the fences when the feeders came.
The fences are electrified, though, right?
That's right, but they never attacked the same place twice. They were testing the fences for weaknesses systematically.